Welcome to Texas Franchise Radio, where your hosts, Josh Cherry and Robbie Marlowe, bring you all things franchising in the Texas market. Franchising is one of 3 growth strategies businesses can use to expand and capture market share, effective when done right. But there's a lot to this dynamic business model. Learn from others in the industry as we bring on all levels of franchise operators and experts.
Texas Franchise Radio. You ready? Let's go. Robbie and Josh going live, and it's time to hit the road. You are tuned in to Texas Franchise Radio. Oh, you're in the business? Well, this is what you need. Reppin' Texas, they professionals up in the industry. What we talking about? We talking business models, invest in franchises. We going full throttle. Learn about the industry. I know you got the questions. We're trying to help you grow and take it to the next level. Straight up. Franchise operators and the experts. It's time to tune in and expand your network. So let's see how it's all done and how it's operated in the local Texas market. Time to get us educated. Robbie and Josh going live. Time to hit the road. You tune in to Texas Franchise Radio. Get your business popping. Yeah,
hey, welcome back, Conroe, Texas. Welcome back to Texas Franchise Radio. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. If you missed the last show, if you want to learn all about insurance and getting spoiled up on that, go back and check out the last episode where we talked in depth about how to protect all your assets with insurance in the franchise world. Today, Robbie and I are super excited to bring on a very special guest. Steve, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys having me in here today. I'm already impressed by your rapping skills. I mean, I was not expecting that as the intro. So very good.
We get more comments about the
intro than anything else.
It's very unexpected. I mean, you know.
We could pretty much cut out everything else, just do the intro and straight into Stump the Chump, and I think that's all people really want to listen
That's all
to.
they want to say.
Good stuff.
If you're not on there, check us out live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Come ask your questions live on YouTube. Ask your questions for me or Robbie, or probably more importantly for Steve. We know you don't want to ask me and Robbie anything, but come ask us your questions. We're going to be tuned in, and we're going to be checking out all of your questions on there. So come check it out. Bradley, what's up, man? Bradley says hi. Bradley, we got Steve on today. So Steve's one of those guests that it's almost too much to intro everything you've done.
We don't need to cover all of it.
Yeah, you look like a young
highlights.
man, maybe 28, 29, maybe a little bit older than that, but you've done a lot in a very short amount of time.
I've tried. You know, I mean, started out as a kid, you know, playing football was always my dream, specifically to play at A&M. You know, I never really thought about going to the NFL. That was not something I mean, I guess as a kid, you kind of dream about it, but you know, you think of it as like an unreachable dream, you know, but I felt like I could get to A&M, you know, if I set my mind to it and really worked hard at it. So that was the original goal. And, you know, I was lucky enough to accomplish that. Played for RC Slocum during the mid-90s when the Wrecking Crew was in still full effect. We're hoping to come back here soon. They look like they might this year. But, you know, ended up playing there and had a great career and loved every second of it. Ended up being drafted and playing in the NFL for 11 years, starter. So it was a great time of my life, you know, something that I think very fondly of and look back at. But, you know, I know that even as I was playing football, the one thing I wanted to make sure is that I didn't want to ever be defined as just a football player. Mm-hmm. You know, I saw myself as a football player, but I saw myself as so much more that I wanted to accomplish in life. And I didn't want everything to end right after football. That's why I didn't really pursue coaching or going anything like that. I wanted to do something outside of just football. You know, I was more than just a good athlete. You know, I felt like I had a brain and leadership skills that could translate over into other industries that I wanted to explore.
That's awesome. And that's one thing, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that later in the show, because that's one thing that one of the guys we looked up to, Bedros Keuilian, he's building a fitness franchise on the West Coast, and he always talks about keep that mentality of, you know, to keep you young and to keep you working for something, you know, always have the mentality of best is yet to come. You know a lot of people who were really good at football, maybe even in high school, and then 20 years later, that's still the thing they're holding on to. Was that game they won state back in high school. So Bedros talks a lot about keep your dreams in front of you. You know, have you is that why you think that you've continued to make those transitions? Like, you've hit big goals, played for A&M, We're going to dive into that in a second. I'm going to ask you about the game on Saturday. I don't know if you saw that one or not.
Well, I was there. Still a little hoarse.
Then you played in the NFL. Now you're doing good things in the business world, like you said. Has that been? Do you feel like that's kind of one of those things? Like you never wanted to feel like your best was behind you. You always wanted to keep something to chase.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that in any great competitor, I think that's how you think. Nobody is ever satisfied. You don't get to the level of the NFL and have a long career without that mindset. You are never satisfied. Good is never good enough. You always have to keep working. Your best has always got to be in front of you. So, I mean, that's kind of the mindset I took towards the end of my career as I was looking into my second career, what I was going to do. And, especially now that I'm in the business world, that's how I think about it. I'm still very competitive. I compete with other owner operators in McDonald's that, I want to be better than them. Yeah. I want to run better stores. I want to have better, graded visits and buy more restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just my nature to want to be the best.
As a franchisor, we love to hear that. Right? We want to see competition within stores.
Well, and the truth is that franchisors and McDonald's like to hear that too.
No, absolutely.
And those kind of franchisees grow and have the opportunity to grow. So, regardless of what franchise you're in, you have that mindset, you're going to get more opportunities than other franchisees.
No, absolutely.
And it keeps us honest too. Like we have a couple of franchisees that have multiple units. Derek down in Southeast Texas with 2, and then you look at Kevin and Jessica and watching what they're doing. That makes us want to try harder because they're crushing it and opening all these stores, and we're seeing them work hard. It makes us work harder. So
absolutely.
I think
Definitely.
all right, so let's back up a little bit. So,
all right.
Texas A&M football. Let's dive into that for just a second.
Oh man.
You want to just talk about the game Saturday and get that over with?
Robbie's outnumbered. Yeah. What about that game on Saturday?
Right. What's Robbie's affiliation? He's a Longhorn or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up as a Longhorn fan. I didn't graduate. But
Okay. You're a T-shirt fan.
Yes, sir.
As we call them.
Hey, but I'm still, over the years they lost, I
Yeah.
still have the T-shirt. A lot of people changed.
No, it's true.
But
Hey, they've had a pretty good
A lot
year.
of those became Alabama fans,
Yeah.
and they have new T-shirt. He has been a
Yeah, I
diehard
bet,
Texas fan.
so,
Well, good for you.
I'm not a bandwagon guy.
That's good. I don't disrespect people that root for other teams, whether they went there or not. Everybody's entitled to root for who they want to. It's in your heart. You grow up as a kid. It's kind of like being born into a religion, or same with college football. You're born into a college, whether you want it or not.
Like NFL.
Yeah,
Like,
we grew
NFL.
I'm a Cowboys
Unfortunately,
fan.
we grew up Dallas fans. I mean, we grew up in Southeast Texas, and that's just how it was.
Early 90s,
Yeah.
Emmitt Smith.
It's hard to fault people. I don't blame people for that. I grew up an Oilers fan, so I've always rooted for them, and playing with the Texans. Obviously, I'm a Texans fan, but
Absolutely.
I respect and understand how people grow up Cowboys fans. Believe me, if I didn't have an affiliation, I'd been a Cowboys fan in the '90s too.
Yeah.
That was a good time period.
Like my son, we're living here in Houston. He'll probably be a Texans fan.
Yep.
And, and
Well, that's good. You've seen the light. And
Yeah.
You want to raise them right. Glad to hear that.
My oldest son, he loves playing football. He had a good year this year playing for Magnolia. He's 15. He same thing. Like he's kind of a smaller guy, but he's a running back, and he wants to go to Texas A&M. And I had him listen to your episode with Terry the other day just to show him like keep that vision, keep working toward it, and whether it happens or not, like
It's all about vision, man.
Yeah.
It's all about vision. I had that vision when I was in 7th grade, and I'll remember almost very clearly because I don't even think I was playing football yet. And I was watching A&M play Hawaii, which was weird. They opened the season, I think, first or second game, and they went to Hawaii, and they were playing Hawaii. Darren Lewis was the running back, and I remember thinking, I'm going to play football for A&M one day. That's what I want to do. I want to play for A&M. Not I want to play college football or I want to be a good football player. I want to play for A&M.
Wow.
And literally, like from that day forward, that was always in the back of my mind. And I put it out there. I told my parents and brother, and they're like, "Oh, that's good, Steve. Good, good for you, buddy." But I was serious, and so it was almost like from that day forward, like everything I was doing athletically was to prepare me for that opportunity.
So,
That's awesome. Well, while you were at A&M, you are not while you were at A&M, just in 2015, right? You were named one of the top 100 best football
That's
players
true.
for Texas A&M ever.
Yeah, I don't know how, but yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
yeah. No, it was a nice honor. I mean, there's been a lot of good football players come through there over the last 100 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to be on that list at all was very humbling, and it was a great honor. So I was proud of that. Obviously, when you get there, you get that scholarship offer. That's like a dream come true. But then you got to immediately update your goals. Like as soon as you reach that goal,
Oh, yeah.
you never just go, okay, I did it. I made it. It's like, okay, I did it. Okay, now I got to do this. Now this is my new goal. And so that's kind of how it became for me. You know, it's just, okay, I got the scholarship. Now I got to get on the field. Then once I got on the field, I was like, okay, now I got to get all conference. And then I got all conference. I'm like, hey, now I got to get drafted. So, I mean, your goals just completely update every time you hit them.
That's awesome.
You know?
So I don't get to brag much about Delta Life Fitness, but since we're talking about top 100, I got to throw this in here. Robbie and I co-founded Delta Life Fitness as a women's only fitness franchise unit that we're building out a lot here in Houston, but we're coast to coast. But it's coming out in the December magazine of Franchise Dictionary magazine. We just got named one of the top 100 game-changing franchises. So we're pretty excited. Yeah,
that's awesome.
We're pretty. I mean, everything when you risk it all and you try to build something and then seeing.
Absolutely.
That's probably the first big major franchise award we've ever received. We got Fitness Business of the Year back in 2015.
Yep.
But this is really cool. It's really cool for us.
So how many units are you guys up to now?
Just over 30 that are open or under development. Yeah. So
good for you guys. I mean, I having done franchises in the very beginning of a franchise, not as a franchisor, but I jumped into Velocity Sports Performance when I think there was maybe 1 or 2 locations.
Yeah.
And it got up to probably 40, 50 before. I don't know if it just kind of fell apart or what, but so I've seen the beginning of franchises coming into the world, and I know how hard it is.
It's a grind.
Yeah. It is a grind. And then, you guys, to get 30 up already, that's a great testament to you guys, because there's so much marketing and branding that has to be done to just let people know what these, new franchises are, because people don't know.
Yep.
And
something that people listening to this show that are, for our audience out there that has a business that might want to go to franchising, it is so much upfront cash.
Yeah.
Time. It's all upfront cash and time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been lucky. We started in a parking lot and cash flowed this thing from 2009 till now.
Mm-hmm.
In a parking lot, cash flowing it, parking lots to warehouses to now the facilities we're building out here in Houston. But
That's great.
It takes a lot to stick with.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I think that was always setting a goal in front of us. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we started in a parking lot. Then now we're at our first studio. We're
Right.
making money. I remember me and Josh talking, man, if we could just make $8,000 a month, what is that?
That's $100,000 a year.
We were young men,
Oh,
working full-time jobs. This was on the side. And as we grew,
Yes.
me and him on the phone, 2 locations talking about how we're going to franchise this and be the biggest thing. And we were always keeping that in front of us. So I think that's
great. I mean, you guys are hitting your goals, and to get to 30. I mean, the sky's the limit with any franchise, and you guys have gotten it, off the ground.
Really
That's the hardest
hard
part.
yeah.
That's the hardest part. You guys have got it off the ground, and you're moving forward. There's just no telling where this thing can go. It all depends on getting the right franchisees, the right people that are dedicated to running the business the way it's supposed to be run, and helping those people grow.
And giving them a system where they can win. And I like that. I mean, after 13 years in the Marine Corps, I was used to safety, and that paycheck's going to be there. I show up and do my job. I got a paycheck. I got health care. I traded that in, kind of like you, right? Like you do the same thing. I mean, it wasn't guaranteed for you when you were in the NFL, but you knew what to do. It was regimented. You're there. And now it's 100% risk on Steve. How hard is Steve going to work? And he could lose it all. So whenever you trade your life in for a commission, sell to survive commission-based life, if you don't create a system where other people win, you're not going to make it very long.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, you've nailed it. You have the right mindset as a franchisor, because for you guys to be successful, ultimately, your franchisees have to be successful.
It's the only way.
They got to cash flow. You got to make sure that your franchisees are making money, because if they're not making money, you're not going to make money. It's just a matter of time before it all crumbles.
Yeah, and that's when you see a lot of these franchises get to about 50 units and kind of the tires fall off of it. They didn't pay attention to the unit economics, or they try to grow too fast. They ran it's a science, or like it's an art. That's why people like the franchise you're part of, McDonald's. It's amazing what they were able to do, but they did it over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
They got to, everybody looks at McDonald's. They are the mecca of franchising, but they didn't go overnight. If you listen to Ray Kroc, I mean, it was a slow process, and that's what I think. Franchising is a weird sales area, because you don't just sell and sell and sell. You've got to look at the franchisor. You've got to grade those guys. Will they fit in our system? Will they be a good franchisee? It's a very
There's so much to it.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do as a franchisor.
There's nothing more American than franchising.
No.
I love it. It's okay. Somebody had a business model. They created some systems around it. Now they're going to allow somebody else to save themselves those time and energy and mistakes that they made to expand and gain market share using other people's capital and time. Brilliant business model, in theory, hard to pull off in reality, because the franchise does have to sell and generate revenue in order to better support the franchise.
Especially early.
Especially early. But the two have to go like this. And at first, we went like this, and we were too heavy on selling a model that wasn't polished. When we were telling you about when we were still in warehouses and everything else. Like we got lucky. I mean, we got mixed up with some really good people who came in. The Hardee's group I told you about. We had another investor come on and help us, and then he brought in Lynette McKee, who helped us really build best-in-class practices. She was the VP of franchising for Dunkin' during their largest growth run. She came in, made us stop everything because we were just selling, right? Doing what we thought we had to. She made us stop everything, rebuild the operations manual, rebuild the replicable model. And we were terrified because we had to go, how long, Robbie? A year and a half without sales?
It was uncomfortable.
And I had just walked away from a 13-year I had 6 years left in the Marine Corps as a pilot, like would have been set. had to put that on pause to go,
Took the risk, man. The risk, risk first reward.
Hopefully
it's all going to pay off for you guys.
Hopefully there's a reward.
It will.
Yeah,
there will be.
So top 100. So you were at the game on Saturday.
I was, man. That's
incredible.
I mean, if you think about all the football games I've played in my life over 20 years and all the games I've watched and since then, I've never seen a game. That was the craziest game I've ever seen in my life. 7 overtimes. First of all, that's only happened like 3 or 4 times. It was the highest scoring game in college football history by the 2 most unlikely teams to break that record ever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it only happens because they go to 7 overtimes and you're just getting touchdown after touchdown. And by that time, the defenses were so exhausted, I don't think they could stop anybody. But it was just incredible, just how they got to overtime. Because I was there, and I'm sitting there, and into the game, I think Mon throws the interception. I get up, I'm like, lost again. So I'm walking down the aisle, and I hear they're going to review it. I see the replay. I see his knee down, touching the ball. I'm like, dude, he's down. They're going to get the ball back. But there's only going to be like 25 seconds. I'm not thinking. I'm just like, well, at least we can throw a Hail Mary.
Yeah,
I'm not expecting them to go down the field and
but we
throw
got one last play,
last second touchdown. And so then they get down there and, get the 1 second back on the clock, which was legit. I mean, he had plenty of time to spike the ball and throws the touchdown on the last play of the game, and just the place went nuts.
I'm sure.
I'm talking nuts. I've never heard Kyle Field that loud. And then just the overtime that pursued just was like boom, 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 back and forth the whole time. Or we're just at some point your nerves are so shot, you're just emotionally drained. You're just looking at each other like, Is this really happening? Like, how is this happening? This is crazy.
I didn't watch the game until probably the 3rd overtime. Josh texted me, he's like, "You watching the game?" I was looking at it on the ESPN app. I seen them throw the interception. I closed it.
You thought it was over. Yeah.
He texted me 3 overtimes in, then I turned it back on TV.
Well, you still got to watch a good hour of it from that point.
Exactly.
Kristen threw us a whoop in over live. Whoop.
Yeah, that was fun, man. Me and my son were there, and we actually rushed the field afterwards.
Oh no!
I saw everybody rushing it. I wasn't going to start it because I know there's a fine. There's like $50,000. The school gets fined if you rush it. I'm like, I saw kids going. I'm like, dude, we're going. Everybody's doing it. We're in.
Might as well.
I don't think they could have stopped them.
They couldn't have,
not
man.
that night.
Not after that game. They couldn't have. It was fun, man. That was a memory I'll never forget right there.
So then, after playing Texas A&M for and going all conference and having your great experience there, you go into the draft. Same year, you and Peyton Manning go join the Colts. Same year.
That's right. We were both first picks. He was the first pick in the 1st round. I was the first pick in the 4th round. So I like to remind him of that. We're both first picks, so don't be too cocky around me, dude. But no, it was one of those deals where I thought I was going to be drafted higher. I was expected to go in the 2nd, 3rd round. So by when those rounds passed, and I'm still sitting there, I'm frustrated and questioning everything I'd done leading up to that point.
No, absolutely.
But when Indianapolis called at the beginning of the round 4, they'd traded up to pick me, and I just knew that was where I was supposed to be. Just something felt right that's where I needed to be in that round at that team with that coach. And I went to a place where I had an offensive line coach named Howard Mudd that believed in me, that wanted me. And it's amazing how much people can thrive under the right conditions when they're being not only coached properly, but, when your coach has confidence in you and wants the best for you and, pushes you. It just all clicked for me. I ended up starting my rookie year, made the All-NFL rookie team, started there for 4 years, and free agency came up, and Texans were coming into the NFL that same year. So I said, I'm going to go into free agency and try to get down there to Houston. And it worked out, Bob McNair signed me, who just passed away, one of the best men I ever met and knew. A lot of respect for him and, sorry for his family. But he left such an amazing legacy here with the Houston Texans and bringing that franchise back here. I mean, this city should be so grateful that man existed.
No, I think, my kids are we have an NFL team here now in Houston, like you said, that our kids are growing up and being able to watch and stuff. So him bringing that back I think Houston's in general were really upset when the Oilers left and you had all that controversy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a whole crazy deal. But, thank God we got a football team back and the Texans, and they looked great last night. And,
I know, right?
They're heading to the playoffs. Yeah. And, it's going to be a fun year. And, one of the games I played in that I'll never forget is that first game against Dallas, which I'm sure you guys are still broken up about. But it was, man, that was, I played in some big games in college and loud, in front of Kyle Field, but I had never heard a stadium as loud as when we ran out for that Texans-Cowboys game, the very first one. That stadium was loud. I'm talking about, it was so loud, like I could feel the hair on my neck vibrating loud.
Yeah. Wow.
It was crazy, but man, winning that game, oh my goodness, the city was nuts. I don't know if you guys remember it, but man, they were going crazy down here.
I mean, I think in most Texans, like me being a Dallas fan, even watching, I wasn't even upset that the Texans won that. I was just glad to see Houston with the team back. Like, it's just Texas pride in general. I was just glad to see it.
It was fun, man. That was a fun game. I'll never forget that one either.
Yeah. So, I think when you do anything great, you got to have a certain kind of mindset, right? Like, just like you just talked about with us and in business and franchising, like, to get Delta Life to where it's been today and where it's going to go, Robbie and I have to have this almost ridiculous belief of what it's going to be. And we have to hang on to that, and we have to remind ourselves of that every morning before the punches start flying in at 6 a.m., right? I heard you say something on a podcast one time about you never went into a game, succeeding the loss before you walked in there. That first year you go to the Colts, you guys go 3-13. How important was mindset, your mindset in general, about like you never took a field where you thought you were going to lose? What happened between that 3-13 season and the 13-3 season right after that?
Man, we just went back to work, and we got a little more experienced, and we just kept working hard. And it was something that happened during that season. We knew we would be better than 3-13. We didn't know we were going to go 13-3, but when that season started, I think we started out like 2-2, but we'd won a couple games. I mean, we'd almost passed our win record from the year before. So, I mean, we were feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And we just kept practicing harder. Every week we were just really getting after each other, like physical, trying to pancake each other in practice. Like you don't really necessarily see that in the NFL.
Yeah.
But that's how we practiced literally for like 12 straight weeks, just trying to kill each other in practice. And it really bled over into the games because we were a more physical team. We believed. I mean, it's easy to believe when you got Peyton Manning, and he's throwing 35 touchdowns in the season. But we just had a lot of belief. We worked extremely hard, and we just kept winning. And winning is contagious.
I heard he had some good blocking up front, though.
Great blocking, yeah. Especially by the left guard. Yeah. But, it was something that we just won a couple games, kind of like the Texans right now.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, we won a couple games, and we started to believe that we could win. Mm-hmm. And once you get that belief, it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
Because then even in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go and you're down by 7, you find a way to win.
Yeah.
You just find a way to win because you believe. You never give up that hope or that belief. I mean, it's kind of like the A&M, coming back against LSU the other night. I mean, they just never gave up. Their will was never broken, and you just kind of keep plugging and fighting until you find a way to win. And we did that literally all season until we got to the very end of the season, and then we were clinched, home field advantage and all this. And so, they set out some starters in the last game, and we lost to Buffalo, which, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I think Peyton played like one series, and Marvin Harrison played a series, and, we got our heads kicked in. And, what do? We go out, take a bye week, go in and get beat in the first round of the playoffs, because we just screwed up our whole mentality. I feel like if we'd have played like we played all season that last game, we would have won that game against Tennessee. We would have been in the Super Bowl, not Tennessee.
That must have stuck with Peyton, because remember just a few years ago when they tried to seat him in that last game, he was like yelling at the coaches, So that must have been, he must have remembered.
No doubt. I mean, you just can't take, when you're on a roll like that, you don't want to take 2 weeks off. It's bad enough you got that bye week.
Yeah.
And then you're going to take the week before that off too. Like, no, that's too much time in between competitive games. Like, you need to be out there competing, fighting.
I remember that was a big thing back then. It was a big controversy. Like, do we sit our players?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I get it. And I'm almost like, if you're playing in a wild card round where you're going to play that next week, you know, maybe go out there and play a series or two.
Yeah.
And then sit them. But if you got a bye week, you need to play. Because that's too many weeks to be sitting out, not playing.
I guess the biggest fear would be something happens to Peyton. He gets hurt. One of your stars get hurt.
I mean,
you got to roll the dice. You know?
That's 100% why they do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, realistically,
all
I mean,
the critics would come out at that point.
Yeah.
you've played 15 games and hadn't gotten hurt.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you got to risk it for one more.
Yeah. So let's transition from football into business, and we're gonna one more question here, and then we'll take a break. So 11-year NFL career, which beats the average by quite a bit.
Right.
But you said something interesting to me. I heard you say two things on a podcast I listened to. One, you said you really liked the franchise model. That was something you were looking at for a long time, was looking at the franchise model. And then you said, like, your second year in, you were saying that the NFL really worked with you guys on trying to prepare you for life after football.
Yeah.
And you said you were reading franchise disclosure documents at like 25, 26 years old, just a couple years into the NFL. So tell me about that. Tell me, what is it about franchising in general with any brand that kind of attracted you to it?
Well, it's very simple, really, because being a part of a franchise is like being a part of a team. You know, and when you grow up a football player, that's what you do. You're on a team. You have a playbook. You didn't write the playbook, but you believe in the playbook. You learn it, you study it, and then you go out and you execute it. Franchising is the same thing. I don't want to be a head coach. You guys are the head coach. You're franchisors. I wanted to just be on the team and execute a playbook that's already proven to win. And so that's what franchising does. It's got a business model. It's got a playbook. You study the playbook, learn it, go out and execute it, and then you're successful with it. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I don't need to reinvent the business. I don't need to go open Steve's Burger Shack. I don't have that desire. You know what I have the desire to do? Be successful.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm defining success as financial success and growth success. You know, I provide a lot of jobs in the community.
Oh, absolutely.
And by the money that we make selling burgers, I'm able to give a lot back to the community and to my family. So it's provided me opportunities above just you know, financial for my family. It provides me the opportunity to be able to go and do good things for people that need it. And so, you know, that to me is just kind of icing on the cake. I love the franchise model. They're not all successful, and not every franchisee will be successful, but I think they have a lot more success than going out on your own.
Yeah, I think everybody that right now that's looking to get in the franchise system, if you have a different mentality, if you want to be the head coach, you probably need to go start your own burger, because you're going to not just not succeed in the franchise, you're not going to be happy.
You're not.
You're not going to be happy in the franchise.
Because you're not going to want people telling you what you have to do, the way you have to do it. And I don't mind that.
No.
As long as it works.
No, absolutely.
Now, if it don't work, we'll talk about it. But if it's working, I don't need to go and reinvent a Big Mac. It's already proven it wins.
No, absolutely. And then also, like with franchising, we went to IFA. We done on time. We went to IFA last year, and it's the International Franchise Association. They talked about franchising and how people look at McDonald's as this big business, but McDonald's really is a small business owner. You're the guy in the community. You're getting jobs in the community. You're giving back to the community. I think it's hard for the franchising industry as a whole has a lot of educating to do for the public of what franchising is.
Oh yeah.
You know, and people don't look at it as a small business. They look at it as
they think it's big corporate.
Yeah, they think it's big corporate. And really it is your neighbor that exactly what Steve just explained, that wants to be successful financially, give back to the community. I think a lot of people just need to take that in when they look at franchises.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this right now. I mean, McDonald's here just in Houston, I think we have like 360, 380 locations in the Houston Metroplex area. And I think 15 of them are owned by corporate McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which means 90% of the McDonald's, maybe 95% in Houston, are owned by guys like me.
Could be your neighbor.
Owner-operators. Men, women, white, black, Hispanic. We're all in this together, trying to make money, trying to sell burgers, trying to make the community a better place.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so just remember that, when you're going through McDonald's and you're.
No, we were making a big play for that the other day on Small Business Saturday. People leave out the big iconic brands because they don't think that McDonald's is a small business. Well, that's just not true. And that's what IFA, the International Franchise Association, is doing a really good job of trying to educate the country on what franchising really is.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that.
There's a big gap there.
Well, everybody's loving, we're getting a lot of comments, and people are loving the comparison of the head coach and the player. I never heard that either. It's funny, like every time you try to explain anything, football analogies always work. So I imagine you have a pretty easy
That's all I do
with
at McDonald's is football analogies. So even to my employees.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to kick it over to a break. We'll be right back with Steve McKinney. You guys don't go anywhere.
You ready? Let's go. Robbie and Josh going live, and it's time to hit the road. You were tuned in to Texas Franchise.
Hey, Montgomery County and online listeners. Thank you so very much for checking out Jazzy Vibes with Soul. What? You haven't done so yet? Well, you've got to tune in. Hi, I am the host of Jazzy Vibes with Soul, Miss CeCe Holmes, and I invite you to check us out every Friday and Saturday from 7 until 9 p.m., where you will get the best in old school R&B and, of course, a little smooth jazz to make it jazzy. So tune in. That's right, tune in every Friday and Saturday right here on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 FM, or worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available in Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Are you interested in learning more about preparing quick, healthy, and safe meals for your family? Would you like to spend time with others learning tips and tricks, along with practicing and tasting nutritious food? If so, the On the Road to Healthy Living Mobile Cooking School is for you. Call Amy Ressler at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service at 936-539-7825 to find a class near you or volunteer to host a class.
Time to hit the road. You were tuned in to Texas Franchise Radio. Oh, you're in the business.
Right.
This is what you need.
Mama.
Everybody enjoying the rap music, huh? All right, welcome back, guys. We're here with Steve McKinney, ex-football player, NFL owner, or NFL player.
Wish.
Yeah, no, me and you both. McDonald's franchisee. He owns 10 units here in the Houston area. I don't know about everybody, but I don't know if you watched The Founder, the movie. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoy Ray Kroc and his story and kind of why, his story got me into franchise. It made me want to be a franchisor. I just love the franchise business. But one thing I read, Beyond the Golden Arches, it's a book about McDonald's and kind of early burger models. And one thing they really take pride in is Hamburger University. So I'm guessing you being a McDonald's franchisee, you got at least 10 units. You had got to go through the training at McDonald's. And I guess that's what drove you to a franchise. Wanting to be a franchisee at McDonald's was probably how much they had figured out.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, I did some different franchises and investments before I ever got into McDonald's. So, I mean, I had kind of a background on, what to expect from franchise models. And one thing I knew when I got out of football is that I wanted to be in the food industry. That's what I wanted to do. I did the Velocity, I did the sports performance training, I did all that. But I felt a calling. I grew up, my family owned a restaurant in Centerville, and I was growing up as a kid. I used to work there. And so it was kind of in my blood. They say you have to have ketchup in your blood to want to do this.
No.
And it's true.
Yeah.
But I looked at some food franchises. I tried to get into McDonald's early on, right out of the NFL, and I got, denied. I guess they weren't interested at that point. But I just kept looking and, kept coming back in my mind to McDonald's. Every franchise I looked at, it wasn't speaking to me. Just didn't feel right. So I finally, got into McDonald's after multiple efforts. And one of the things that was really attractive to McDonald's was the training, because they weren't just going to hand me a franchise.
No, yeah.
They weren't just going to let me write a check and give me however many I wanted to buy.
As a franchisee, that probably makes you feel good.
Now it does. At the time, I was like, come on, man, I got money. I'm ready to go. These things sell themselves, you know? But that's not what they want. They don't want investors. They don't want silent partners. They don't want your brother-in-law running your business. They want operators. That's why we can call ourselves owner-operators, not just owners. Yeah. We have to be involved in the day-to-day business. I mean, they make you go through a training program when you get into the owner-operator program. It's probably, at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years, where you're working for free in the restaurant. You're going to classes, you're working positions, crew, shift managers, general managers, supervisor, maintenance man, everything. You got to 40 hours a week. And then they'll come check on you every day. They check on you like a couple times a month, make sure you're working good and, learning stuff and check up on you. That was it. It was brutal. And I was doing this right after I got done playing football.
That's impressive that they have that much. Like, McDonald's is that confident in their thing. They're like, hey, well, you're going to work for us for a year for free and understand what it takes to do this.
Well, they get
really want it.
10,000 plus applications a year. So
absolutely.
The way they look at it is, if you don't want to do it, we're not taking on but about 3 or 4 new operators a year. So if you don't want it, not a problem.
Wow. So, but straight from the NFL into working 40-hour weeks at McDonald's with no pay, there had to be moments where you were like, what am I doing?
Oh, man. At least once a month, maybe more. Because I remember there were nights, because I wanted to just work, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, and go home and see my kids and take the weekends off and go hunting and fishing. And they're like, no, that's not how the restaurant business works. McDonald's is 24 hours, so you need to learn to work all shifts. So, like, you need to open for a couple weeks, you need to close for a couple weeks, you need to do overnights for a couple weeks, at least.
Oh, wow.
So I was having to do all that, man. It was brutal. There was days where, I'm getting up at 3:30 to go to work or coming home at 3 in the morning, and that's when you're just like, this better be worth it. Yeah. This is a lot of effort, and I don't know if I want to do this. How bad do I really want to be in McDonald's?
I imagine doing that, going straight out of the NFL to that.
Yeah, it was tough.
I think I did a stint with a franchise fast food restaurant when I was younger in high school, and it lasted about, 2 days. And I said, this is not for me.
It's not for everybody.
No, it wasn't. And,
it's not.
And my dad always laughed at me because I don't even know if I lasted 2 days, maybe a day, first day at work. And I said, hey, this is not for me. I'm like, I'm not made for the food industry.
I've had a lot of employees like that.
Yeah,
trust me.
This is not something I enjoyed.
No, and and I understand that, and I never have taken that personal.
Yeah.
Because it is hard.
No,
you're on your feet a lot. Customers are not always the friendliest.
Yeah.
Things don't always go perfect. Equipment breaks.
It really is a tough job.
Credit cards, machines go down. Customers don't want to hear that. It's just, it can be very, very difficult. But ultimately, I went to McDonald's because I wanted to be trained. I was smart enough at that point to at least know that I didn't know anything about running a restaurant.
Yeah.
And
you had no restaurant experience.
No restaurant experience other than busting tables as a kid. I knew that I needed to go to a franchise that was going to train the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I needed somebody that was going to push me when I didn't want to be pushed, the same as the head coach does in football. Mm-hmm. When those days that you don't want to practice and you're tired and you'd rather just, say, hey, I don't feel like practicing today. My knee's kind of sore. My ankle's a little sore. No, the coaches don't want to hear that. They're just going to push you. Get out there. And that's what McDonald's did. There was times where I'm just like, man, I don't want to work weekends. Why do I have to work weekends? I'm going to be an owner. I'm going to pay somebody to work weekends.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. If you want to be an operator, you're going to work weekends. And that was it. And there's no discussion. And so I always respected that because it pushed me to be a better operator. They hold you accountable, man. Accountability is a wonderful thing in life.
The head coach analogy is a really good analogy on the way you just laid that out. Yeah, it's really good. And I know people hate being held accountable. It's uncomfortable.
Well, it is. But without accountability at any level, you're not going to ever, even the greatest athletes need accountability and they need motivation at times. Even Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, even those guys need to be pushed. Those are what make the greats greater is by being pushed. So I want to be in a franchise that's going to push me, that's not going to let me, be disengaged from my business and run poor restaurants. I want a franchise that when I start to do that, they're going to do everything in their power to get me out of their system.
Yeah.
And get better operators in there. That's the kind of franchise I want to be in.
It's so important. It's something we've seen over the years because we and this is not any of the franchisees' fault. This is mine and Robbie's fault.
No,
like we've had to learn this lesson. I mean, and I think every franchise is a giant spectrum, right? Like you start off like somebody would want to own this. Our very first franchisee was my father, who he wanted to put up his money and literally I don't think he's ever been inside of it, right?
Yeah.
And we thought, when you think you have systems, you think I can just go investor route, and that's appealing to you. So every franchise, McDonald's is probably the farthest one on the right. Like they're confident, they know their model works. You just do this. We want owner operators. We don't need to, and then you start all the way over here on the left, where it's just a franchise that's just starting, and I'll take on anybody. Like I need investors. I need people that are willing to do this, and we'll get through the rest, right? And then there's every level in between, right? And I think how many jumps in that peg have we made just in the last 5 years? I mean, we started all the way to the left, and now we're getting about to the middle. But when you first start, you're thinking, man, I'm just grateful somebody wants to work this hard to expand the brand,
right?
So you feel bad about like, if you're stepping on their toes or calling them out or telling them there's different things they need to do better with their store. You're like, man, I don't have that right. This person put their whole life on hold to come work their butt off to expand the brand.
Mm-hmm.
But you do get more confident as you go. And you start, and when you see some of them struggle early on, you realize two things. One, we've got to pour all of the money we're making back into better training. We've got to continue to evolve the brand to give them better systems. We've got to build better support and go support these guys. And then two, for their own benefit, we've got to be really hard on them. Yeah. Like you have to. I think that's two things that we've had to learn over the years.
And a lot of us, understanding McDonald's know what customer or what franchisee they fit a certain way, a certain mentality. Right. We had to figure that out. And a lot of times early on, especially early on with success, when you're creating a model, we see it with a lot of other emerging brands is you had a lot of success with it. And you're thinking, if I can do it, I know I looked at it, I was like, if I can do it, well, anybody should be able to do it.
Right.
And then understanding that, well, I'd wake up early. I'd go to sleep late. I wouldn't see my family. Like early on,
motivation levels are different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those are things that we had to learn along the way. That
it's tough. I mean, that's why a lot of franchises are so difficult to get off the ground because you need the money coming in.
Yep.
You got to get people buying your franchise. Mm-hmm. You can't be too picky. I mean, you're in the beginning. People aren't lining up at the door to buy them. What are you going to do? Turn down money?
I can't tell somebody to come work in my store for a year for free. That's not going to happen.
Exactly.
And how hard of a sell is this, right? Like, hey, cash in all of your savings, your 401k, everything you've saved your entire life, quit your career, and come do nothing for the next 10 years but run this store. I mean, that's a hard sell.
Yeah. And by the way, we have 2 locations. And they haven't been open, and we can't tell you if they're making any money.
No, absolutely.
That's a tough sell.
Exactly.
So it's like you said, man. It's an evolution, and it's hard. And those first 10 are so tricky. And here's the good news. We thought we were rare. We were like, man, my dad was number 1. Best friend from high school was number 2, right? Like, and we started as a license and then went into a franchise. So,
that's how McDonald's started.
So we
Ray
go to
Kroc's best friends opened up his first couple locations. We
go to and it was a disaster, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
And we go to IFA, the International Franchise Association, and they actually tell us all like, hey, this is how Dairy Queen started with a 1-page license agreement. They still have units in Texas that are not even under a franchise agreement. They're under this 1-page license agreement. They can serve what they want. They can keep up with the menu or not.
Is that right? Wow.
When you start to you finally realize all these brands make these evolutions. They make these jumps, and we're hitting that stride now. I mean, we've got some operators. Jennifer Hess watching the show right now down in Spring, Texas. I mean, that girl's in there at 5:00 in the morning. She's staying late. She's working her butt off building that store up.
That's what it takes, and that's with any small business, whether it's a franchise or not. It takes an owner operator that wants to give everything they got to that business. And that's another thing that I loved about the franchise model is that the harder you work, the more your reward is, right? No, it's not like that in the corporate world all the time. I may put in 60, 70 hours a week and turn in the best reports. And, at the end of the day, I still don't get a raise. My boss gets a lot of credit and maybe the company stock goes up, but I'm still making the same amount.
Yep.
I know if I go in and bust my butt in the restaurant for a month or 2, and improve service and operations, the sales are going to come. And then I'm going to make more money. And that's what the franchise model is, man. The harder you work, if the model works, the harder you work, the more you make.
And you're able to come in and know what you need to execute on because it's a playbook, like you said, and you're going by that playbook.
Now, the problem with a lot of franchises is that sometimes the playbook doesn't work. And that's where the whole thing falls apart. Or it's too complicated.
Or they're early and they're trying to figure the playbook out.
That's it.
Sometimes that
Playbooks
happens.
evolve. Back in
Exactly.
the night, we used to run triple option in football. Now we do no huddle air raid. So playbooks evolve.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna let Robbie go on a rant real quick before we move over to Stump the Chump. I'm gonna let you turn it loose on us.
About what?
Drop a bomb on Conroe here. So everything you just
Rant.
said, Steve, about that kind of pressure is what drives excellence. I think that's why some of the different economic systems that were tried out in Europe back in the day didn't work. I think that's why capitalism has worked so well. Everything you just said,
Yeah,
like
100%.
when you live a commission based life, you have to sell to survive. You have to figure it out. Like you can't when you get to the point where you can't just get paid for showing up.
Yep.
Because there is that world. There's a world where you can get paid for showing up. Entrepreneurship and business,
A lot.
because the customer gets a vote. Just like in the military, the enemy gets a vote. Like in entrepreneurship, the customer gets a vote. So you got to show up, and that's the only way you can get paid. And sometimes when we give people crutches, this country doesn't prosper. You were talking about GM on the ride over here. So the government, they're running a crappy business.
Yeah, and we all know what happened in 2008. We bailed them out. We bailed the auto industry out. I'm not saying bad or good. I don't know.
Yep.
But what we did is we allowed a company to run, to be benefited to run. They're not going to come bail me out if I run a crappy company.
No.
But we went and bailed those guys out, and we're seeing what.
And now they're
I
still
think-
running.
Yeah, in the news today, they seen that they were cutting back and shutting things down and stopped making cars. And everybody's like blaming it on the tax cuts aren't working. It's not that the tax cuts aren't working. It's that the fact of it is that GM don't know how to run a business, or they're running a crappy business, and they continue to run that crappy business after being bailed out by the tax dollars.
Yeah, I know.
It's exactly what you just said. They were running it bad, but we let them keep getting paid to just show up instead of perform. And that's not right.
And so
If you want to sell more cars and trucks, make better cars and trucks.
exactly, everybody has a Chevrolet from the 98 to 2010 that tailgate didn't work.
I know. All right, we got to transition over to Stump the Chump.
Great.
Steve, I feel like I could spend like 4 hours with you.
absolutely.
You're a
It's been
wealth of
an excellent
knowledge
show.
and just mindset, setting goals, achieving everything, franchise business in general. I wish I could just keep on just asking you a million questions because you got a wealth of knowledge there.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
I wanted to dig in a little bit of Peyton Manning, Tom
I
Brady.
know. I had so many questions we
I
didn't even get to.
played against Tom Brady in his first start, by the way.
Oh, nice.
nice.
Yeah, we lost.
All right, over to Stump the Chump. Here's the rules. I'll ask each person 4 questions. You'll get 1 point for each correct answer. If you don't get the answer, the other person will have a chance to get it correctly. We have a tiebreaker if we need it. The theme today
And no
is...
one has seen the questions, right?
Nope,
Beforehand?
nobody's seen the
Okay,
questions.
just making sure.
It's purposely staged to make Robbie lose. So Steve,
like it.
And
like
so we
that.
got Big Rob versus Small Steve.
I think that's backwards.
All
I'm
right.
not sure if y'all seen the picture that we
Never
posted
been
on
called
Facebook.
that.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the Facebook photo or not, but and the theme today is NFL players that own franchises, since that's
right.
it's been a topic all day.
I'm really versed up on that. So
I started off with a couple of really easy questions. So, Steve, just an easy one to kick us off. The NFL added an expansion team in Texas in 2002. I don't know if you know that or not.
I'm familiar with them, yeah.
Which team was this?
The Texans?
That's correct.
Oh, really? That's I like that question.
No, I do. Yeah, softball's just to get us going.
Good, okay.
Robbie, equally.
Yeah, let's throw him a softball.
Equally easy question. You'll probably rattle it off. But the Chiba Jets is the Japanese professional basketball team located in which city?
What?
Beijing.
No. You think I would give you one that you could actually
that's
guess?
that's the only Chinese city I know. So
Funabashi.
Funabashi. I was
know.
going to say Hong Kong.
I don't know how you didn't know Funabashi. All right, moving on to question number 3. Steve has got 1 point on the board.
I'm killing him.
And
I like this game.
Robbie's got 0 points. All right, Steve. Your former teammate, both first picks in the draft, Peyton
Right.
Manning.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
He owned, I think he sold them all.
Yeah.
31 franchise stores under a certain brand. Do you happen to know which brand that was?
That would be Papa John's
There you
Pizza.
go.
man, I know that one too.
Sure, Robbie.
I know he knows that one. All right, Robbie. Equally easy question, of course. New England Patriot linebacker Roosevelt Colvin owns a franchise. Which franchise is it? It's not food.
Okay. What is it? What is it in? Yeah, at least give me a category
guess
because I don't even know who the linebacker is.
If I give you a category,
apologize.
so it's a service-based. I mean, I guess you could call it service.
I know Roosevelt Collins, but I don't know I'm not sure I know what franchise he's in.
He's in a service-based franchise.
I don't know if it's service. If I told you which industry, it would be a dead giveaway.
No, okay.
There's not many in this industry.
There's not many in this industry.
I've got a guess. Go ahead, Robbie.
Massage envy.
That is incorrect. There's a bunch in that industry.
I just had to throw one out there.
I was going to say Service Pro.
No, it's the UPS store.
UPS store. Okay.
All right. Nobody gets
I mean, that's service industry. You got to be.
I use the UPS stores.
No, it's a nice place.
All right, Steve. Irvin Smith. Do you know who Irvin Smith is?
Irvin Smith.
He's a defensive back for the New York Jets.
Okay.
He owns I guess it's considered food. But it's a
We're not even sure if it's food.
That's considered food.
Interesting.
it's a drink, really.
Okay. Thinking smoothie now.
Yeah. Nope.
You might be right. I don't
Thinking
know.
Smoothie King,
There
Jamba
it is.
Juice.
Steve gets it. Man, Steve's pulling a commanding lead.
Yeah, what am I, 3-0?
Robbie, what are you doing over there, man? All right, Robbie. Tony McGee was the tight end for the NFL for 11 years, same as our man Steve here. Mostly with Cincinnati Bengals. Invested in a sports complex. He's got a similar story to you. He invested in a sports complex, lost a lot of money on that deal, went through a couple other smaller ventures, eventually got with a more prominent franchise brand. After doing a couple of small ventures by himself and not doing so well, he got with a pretty prominent franchise brand. What brand was that?
What category is it in?
We'll say breakfast. I guess it's breakfast. It's coffee. It's a coffee brand.
Dunkin' Donuts?
There you go. All right. We got to give Robbie at least 1 point here. He's getting
I got a friend in Dunkin' Donuts, too.
Oh, really?
Chris Brown, our kicker. He got into it. I think he has like 5 or
Well,
Didn't Drew Brees?
no need to ask the next question.
Is Drew Brees in it?
I think he's in New Orleans, like that Louisiana place of Dunkin' Donuts.
He's in some, yeah.
Yeah, y'all stop pulling ahead on me
He's
here.
got a couple of brands down there in Louisiana.
Who?
Drew.
Yeah. Drew's coming up.
I say Drew like I know him.
I actually know him. He was from Austin Westlake. Him and my brother were on the same Austin Westlake football team that won state championship.
Oh, nice.
I told the A&M coaches, I'm like, man, you guys should really, I was at A&M. I'm like, you got to recruit this kid. He's really good.
Yeah. You think
he's just not tall enough.
you think Drew's going to get him a Super Bowl this year?
He might. I think he may be in it.
He's doing
they're
pretty
my
good.
pick to be in it.
All right, Steve, back to you. Roosevelt Colvin,
Okay.
Chicago
Again?
Bears,
Don't
New
we just
England
go over him?
Patriots.
Yeah, we just.
Oh, yeah.
Smoothie King.
UPS
Yep.
store.
No, UPS, yeah.
My bad.
Ding, ding, ding.
One for me. Another one for me.
All right, Steve, over to you. This one's pretty cool. So you guys know Jerry Richardson?
Yeah. You saw the Panthers?
Yeah. So Jerry Richardson played for the NFL from 59 to like 69 in the NFL. Following the season, Richardson partnered with a franchise, a food concept. Partnered with a food concept. Built it up to 220 of these stores. Sold that for $80 million, which gave him the money to open or to create the expansion team, the Carolina Panthers. So built up a fast food restaurant chain to 220 stores, sold it, and then founded the Panthers off those 220 stores.
Man, I'm blanking, but I know. Is this for me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was like one of those brands that's kind of up in the Northeast, like Bojangles or
It's got two different,
like Hardee's or Carl's Jr. or something like that.
maybe the first one you just said.
Hardee's?
Yep.
Okay. I knew it was one that's not real prominent here in Texas.
Yeah.
That's all I knew.
Yeah, so Jerry Richardson obviously took the advice of the NFL back in the day, got out, opened him a Hardee's, built it all the way up to 220 Hardee's.
Got 80, sold out for $80 million and bought a NFL franchise. That's
You gotta
my
increase
new
that goal.
that's my new roadmap.
When did the Panthers come into the NFL?
Like 2000, 99, something like that.
Yep. I didn't say it here.
98 maybe.
All right, Robbie, one last question. Drew Brees just opened a new sandwich franchise. Which one was it?
Jimmy John's.
There you go.
Jimmy John's.
I had a tiebreaker here. Drew fell in love with this sandwich playing college football. What college did he attend?
Purdue, wasn't it?
Yep. Oh, good for you.
I was going to let Robbie take that one just to see. Good job, Robbie.
I would have missed that.
I got a mass amount of useless knowledge,
That's
but nothing over Chinese football teams.
You're not into Chinese football?
All right, guys. We have come to the end of Texas Franchise Radio for November. Steve and Kenny, we can't thank you enough
Thank you guys for having me. I enjoyed it, man.
for coming on the show.
Fun
Really appreciate it.
conversation.
Yeah, thank you, one, for coming on the show. Thank you for everything you're doing for this community. I know that with veterans, entrepreneurs, and leaders, Bell Institute, you were just awarded the Legacy Award, one of two people here.
That was a very big honor. I appreciated that.
Yeah. congratulations to that. And it was well earned. You give so much back to the community. You've created a lot of jobs. Keep having those big goals and keep doing great things because you're making a big difference, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. And good luck to you all as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
Welcome to Texas Franchise Radio, where your hosts, Josh Cherry and Robbie Marlowe, bring you all things franchising in the Texas market. Franchising is one of 3 growth strategies businesses can use to expand and capture market share. Effective when done right. But there's a lot to this dynamic business model. Learn from others in the industry as we bring on all levels of franchise operators and experts.
Texas Franchise Radio. You ready? Let's go. Robbie and Josh going live, and it's time to hit the road. You were tuned in to Texas Franchise Radio. Oh, you're in the business? Well, this is what you need. Reppin' Texas, they professionals up in the industry. What we talking about? We talking business models, invest in franchises. We going full throttle. Learn about the industry. I know you got the questions. We're trying to help you grow and take it to the next level. Straight up. Franchise operators and the experts. It's time to tune in and expand your network. So let's see how it's all done and how it's operated in the local Texas market. Time to get us educated. Robbie and Josh going live. Time to hit the road. You tune in to Texas Franchise Radio. Get your business popping. Yeah, they came to let you know. You tune in to Texas Franchise Radio. Oh.